Voices, community stories, past and present, in association with 91.3 KXCI, presents Radioactivism.
My name is Zack Khalil. 17 years ago, I was 6 weeks old. My bones were still made of cartilage. I was barely alive, and my grandfather was dying. My mother first told me the story a few weeks ago. I was surprised to have never heard it before because it's the kind of story that begs repetition. I could understand why, though. The sea of grief that accompanied his death must have carried it from the front of her consciousness to the far recesses of her memory. But a few weeks ago, after dinner, she told me. My grandfather had been in the hospital for a few weeks. He had cancer, and they didn't catch it early. The doctor was surprised he was still alive. Given the circumstances, my mom was in the hospital a lot. She had given birth to me 6 weeks earlier, so naturally, I was in the hospital a lot too. Now, I can imagine a hospital's fluorescent halls, the fleeting stench of sickness covered up by overzealous sanitation, a waiting room's stale gray carpets. This is where I spent the first few weeks of life, but despite the monotonous, deathly droll of hospital aesthetics, I had earned the nickname the Buddha Baby, because I rarely ever cried. I hear the nickname today, and some part of me wants to smirk, proud of my infantile contentment. My mom and I were in the room with my grandfather when he died. He took a breath in and couldn't seem to exhale it. The Unitarian minister was kneeling beside him, speaking calmly into his ear. "You're going into love. You're going into love." He let out a sort of groan. My mom called it a roar. Exhaling his breath along with this sound, his life escaping him. And as he did, I cried out in unison. He was dead, and I stopped crying. My mom likes to think of the occurrence as me perceiving my grandfather's death and crying out with him, escorting him through his last moments. And although I love that idea, I like to think of it as coincidental, like the rest of life, a beautiful, meaningless moment.
You've been listening to Radioactivism, stories written and produced by youth ages 14 to 21 through Voices, community stories, past and present, in conjunction with 91.3 KXCI. Find out more about this and other Voices programs at voicesinc.org or at our downtown office at 48 East Pennington.